You're a great example for our country right now. It's got some problems. You know it and I know it. It's got problems that we don't have in the military. And you just hold the line, my fine young soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. You just hold the line until our country gets back to understanding and respecting each other and showing it, being friendly to one another, you know, that Americans owe to one another. We're so doggone lucky to be Americans.
That video never doesn't make me cry. Hold the line until our country gets back to understanding and respecting each other. It was a message delivered by then Defense Secretary Jim Mattis during his tenure as Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense. Here we are 2 years later. Now, former Secretary of Defense is echoing that same spirit, an excerpt from his upcoming book, published as an essay in the Wall Street Journal. He doesn't stab directly at Trump. It's not his style. But you don't need to be an expert in reading between the lines to pick up on exactly what he's saying. For instance, in talking about leadership and a need for allies, he writes this, quote, "A wise leader must deal with reality and state what he intends and what level of commitment he's willing to invest in achieving that end. He then has to trust that his subordinates know how to carry that out. Wise leadership requires collaboration. Otherwise, it will lead to failure. Nations with allies thrive. Those without them wither. Alone, America cannot protect our people and our economy. At this time, we can see storm clouds gathering. Sufficient for a leader. Everyone is back." I think Mattis's bet was if you use a word that I had to Google, people won't know exactly what you're saying. But it is abundantly clear. If you take that statement from Mattis that we showed at the beginning, with Mattis's resignation letter, he resigned over a policy dispute with Donald Trump over the precipitous withdrawal of troops from Syria. I'm told he believed that many people who helped keep American soldiers alive would die if that withdrawal had gone down the way Trump wanted to. With that excerpt from the book, you have, to me, perhaps the most subtle but the most stinging rebuke of Donald Trump.
Absolutely, from a man who was, probably the most respected, military man in the country right now, and has been for a while. General Mattis was a very serious man, and he did stay as long as he could. I mean, when he was Defense Secretary, he and Rex Tillerson was Secretary of State, they would sort of meet and talk every morning to sort of concoct a strategy for dealing with whatever insanity they were going to encounter when they got to the White House. And so let's come up with a reasonable policy, have a joint front, see if we can, and keep the train on the rails. And of course, they're both gone, and anybody who has that capacity is gone now. And the result is what we saw. We saw it at the G7. Which was really the G6 plus, plus Donald Trump. And that's what the organization will be until we get another president.
I hate to be a contrarian. I have a great deal of respect for General Mattis. He's a great patriot. That essay left me thoroughly unimpressed. Probably for the word you used, it was too subtle. I think there are a lot of reasons why Donald Trump is president today, but one of the reasons is there are too many people who decided it's not my fight to take him on. And I think Jim Mattis has decided it's not his fight to take him on. I think everyone in this country who knows how unfit Donald Trump is for office has the responsibility to say something about it and do something about it. But that responsibility is higher for people who have served in this administration and really saw firsthand just how unfit he is for office. And I don't think this is a time for Jim Mattis to be subtle. I think this is a time for him to come out and tell the American public, this man is not fit to be president. And I know he probably thinks that's inappropriate for him as a former military leader. And I know he's been marshaling his credibility and his reputation, his integrity for his entire life. But this is the time to use it.
Just say this. Someone asks me once a week, why same question about George W. Bush. Where's George W. Bush? Why doesn't he say something? And I'm sure people ask Valerie Jarrett about Obama too. I mean, I take your point that people who have seen him up close, but you could say the same thing about H.R. McMaster. Dina Powell.
Absolutely.
Re-
I would
Rex
say it.
Tillerson
I would.
has kind of has sort of told his story, but I mean, why do so many of them stay silent at this point?
I have no idea. I mean, I go back to this thing I said where a lot of them just think it's not my fight. There are other people who think, you know, I served in this administration, so it would be disloyal for me to then leave
Disloyal
and talk
to
about
whom?
it. But your disloyalty,
Disloyal
your
to
loyalty
whom,
is
right?
not supposed
Yeah.
to be the president. It's supposed to be the country. That's who you take the oath to.
So, you know, just listening to Mattis just there and reading his essay, it reminded me of what Republicans used to tell me very early on in this administration, which was, don't worry about it. We're going to have he's going to have some generals. There are going to be some adults in the room, and it's not going to go bad. They're going to stop him. And what ended up happening is Donald Trump fired all of the adults in the room. And this goes into our last conversation. I think where we are today is that Donald Trump has a bunch of yes men, yes women around him, and they let him play into his worst instincts. And I think this is where we are today.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.